Hi, I'm Nan Arkwright, a pediatric occupational therapist. I work with children in individual sessions as well as in social skills groups. And I've written several books about Seymour, and he's a blue-footed booby. I learned about these when I went on a trip to the Galapagos, and I really liked the birds. So I decided to make stories to try to help kids learn about social emotional challenges. So I wanted to share my screen with you and share the book called Mindful Seymour Pauses. And this one is about joining in play. So this is something that a lot of children I work with don't know how to do. They don't necessarily have the vocabulary for what to do. They don't know what is appropriate play and that kids will like and what kids won't like. So if they see a castle that someone's built or just a mound of sand, their idea of might be, let's just crash that down because that sounds fun. It's there, let's do something. But then of course, other kids don't like that because they worked hard on it and they expected something different from that. So it's that kind of not knowing that a lot of the kids I work with experience, and then they get a negative reaction from others, but they don't really understand why. So this book is an attempt to help kids learn how to join in play, either to invite somebody to join you or to join in what somebody else is doing. So it's an attempt to give information, examples, modeling for kids so they have an idea of this is how you do it. And so lots and lots of reading of the story to help before they go to the park, for example. Here's how you can do it. Teachers can do it in the classroom before they go out for recess. This is how we join and play with other kids. And this is what can happen, like we're after the outcome of making friends and realizing it's actually really fun to play with other people because we share ideas. We have lots of ways that are fun to be with others. And that's a different kind of play and fun than playing by ourselves. So that's what the story's about. I'll share my screen now and go through the story with you. So here we are, the title page. And so it starts off with Seymour being super excited to run into the sandbox and get into the play with the toys and the sand and all the excitement. And so he's not even noticing that as he's running across the playground in the sandbox, he's spraying sand on the other animals. He's got his eye on something over there and he wants to play with all of it at one time. And he doesn't really realize that what he's doing is actually causing problems. He's almost, you can see the bird with a little hair um, rubber band in her hair is protecting her castle because she sees just this quickly moving bird coming her way and she's protective of her castle, understandably. She sits down really close uh, to, to the castle, which makes her nervous that it's going to get knocked over. And so he also doesn't realize that that you share shovels or that certain shovels might belong to certain people. So checking with that, he's not aware of that either. So it's turning into a difficult situation for the others to know how to handle. So his sister comes along. She's the one in the story who helps him learn about regulation, helps him learn about the rules on the playground, helps him learn like this is what kids like to do when they're playing in the sandbox. And this is what you can learn to do also. So she believes in him that he has the ability, he just needs to be explicitly taught. So that's what she's doing here. And this is again meant to model so that adults can share with kids. This is what you can do also. You can do just like Seymour. And so he's learning. So at the beginning, he learns that what will happen if he starts digging a moat close to Carmen. So she blocks him. And so he's saying, well, okay, well, then I'll go fill up my bucket. with sand and add it to the dump truck that the penguin is playing with. But he blocks him too and saying, well, that's mine. So he's in his space and not realizing that's his little project. And then he decides, well, here's something else I could join in. I'll just go. Well, I'm not sure he really wants to join in. I think he's just thinking, well, you're doing this. I'll do something like that too. But he's not getting the big picture of actually what the owl is doing. And he's actually baking something that for a sand cake. But he blocks Seymour also. So Seymour's not understanding, and he misinterprets their responses and says, like, they block me, they won't let me play. And this is something I hear a lot from the children I work with, and that is, they won't let me play. And this is an example of what can lead to other kids saying, no, you can't play. This is my game, or this is my space. Not because they don't want to play with that child, but they don't know what to do in that type of situation. I just have to protect my castle. So they don't know how to respond to that. But it's not really typically personal. It's just that there's not there's a sort of like they don't have a script for what to do in those situations. So by looking through the future vision goggles that his sister shares with him, he's able to see the bigger picture of what's really going on that he didn't slow down to notice when he first started in the story. So he says, oh, well, actually, I see that the penguin is actually wants to doesn't want to share the dump truck, and he's asking me, and then the owl is asking him not to destroy his rock design, and Carmen actually asks him to, like, you're in my space, and he didn't notice any of that. But now through the future vision goggles, he's learning, like, there were cues for you, but you didn't pick up on them because you were so hyper-focused on something else and not really taking in your whole surroundings, that situational awareness. And so that had an impact on other people, but they weren't really trying to be mean to him as he perceived it to be. They were just trying to set their boundaries with him, my space boundaries, my personal boundaries around how I'm playing here. So his sister offers to show him a different way because she believes that he can learn. He just hasn't practiced it before. So she shows him that he can move from this situation, which is kind of filled with conflict, to a situation where, oh, well, this is how you solve that problem of people having to protect their work from him because he's just moving so fast, dysregulated. And so now with his future vision goggles, he can see, oh, well, actually, Carmen is worried I'm going to wreck her castle by digging so close to her. And she's so nice. She actually shows me where I could dig instead. So I don't have to worry about wrecking her work, and she doesn't have to worry about me wrecking her work. And then the penguin says, well, he wants to fill up his dump truck all by himself, but he shows me where there is another dump truck that I could use and nobody else is using it. So that could be mine. And then even the short-eared owl says, well, I am liking the way I set up this sand cake. So I don't want you messing with mine, but there's some rocks over there that you could use. And you can make your own sand cakes. And so he's grateful for that opportunity to learn from the other birds what he can do instead. So they're not blocking him. Well, they're kind of blocking him in the initial to protect their work, but they're not trying to say, no, you can't play. They're actually telling him, you're welcome in here, but please don't do things to our work. But you could ask, could you join in? You could ask, what are you doing? You could ask, can I watch what you're doing? Could I share? Could I help you dig? Lots of things that he could be doing. So they're saying it's okay to be here with us. We're not telling you go away. We're just saying here's how you can play, and it's going to be more fun for everyone. So now he's saying, well, okay, I'm telling Carmen my idea for building her castle. So with that little bit of direction from the other birds, he took it in and he thought, okay, well, using that information, I actually can be thinking about ways to play together and enhance my experience, because when two people share their ideas, it can be more fun than just your own. So he begins to get creative with his thinking and decides to ask Carmen if she would like to dig together. And then he can ask the penguin if he wants to build a big mountain out of the sand. And they've got lots of sand in the dump trucks. And then he asks Pablo, the owl, if he maybe wants to make a restaurant with him to sell the sand cakes. So the level of play just shot way up because he had a little guidance from his sister. He could see into the future, the bird he wanted to become, the bird that his sister believed he could be, if he just knew what to do. So he's being flexible. He's trying to do all the things that his sister suggests. So then his sister says, well, I bet that you'll know what to do next time. And he's confident, yes, of course he can. And he says, yeah, I can remember my friends like playing with me. And to make it fun for us to play together, I can ask to join them and what they're doing, or they can ask, or I can join them and what they're doing. And so one of the things that kids can do, this is again something I'm trying to model in the story, that there are kind of two ways to connect with another kid. One is to ask if you can join in, but the secret to that is making sure you wait for an answer, not just saying the words and then just start digging, but saying the words. But even before that is taking in the environment and thinking, what's happening here? What looks fun to me? What does it look like everyone's doing here that I could join in? What looks like something that who looks like they might be receptive to me joining in? So if there's already another crowd of kids, maybe that might not be the easiest way to join in, but maybe another kid by themselves might be an easier connection to make. And also looking at what everybody's doing, what looks like something that maybe you could contribute to the play, something that you've done before that you thought was fun that you could teach someone else to do. Those ways of contributing to the play by joining in and saying and thinking about how you can make the play more fun for both of the people. So one way is they can offer if someone says yes, then great. Those are all great ideas for having a great time together. If you invite, if you ask, can I join in? But the person says no, well, there may be some really good reasons why they might not want to join. They may have already started a game and don't want to have to start all over again at the beginning. It's a complicated pretend story, and it's really hard to add somebody else into the imaginary play. There could be lots of reasons, but generally it's not an exclusion of someone. There's usually some other reason that makes sense, that like, no, we already have our plan in place. And so if someone says no, if you want to join them, then you could offer, a child can offer another idea of something that they might want to do together. They could ask someone else in the sandbox or wherever they're playing if they want to play. They can ask what that person would like to do, and maybe there would be something in common that they would both like doing together. But if the child wants to invite somebody else to play with them, then they can, but they don't want you to, if they don't want you to join, you can ask, can I watch? Or you could ask, could we play later? Or you could just respect their wishes and think, well, they're just doing this, but I can go find something else to do. Maybe another day they want to do something. Maybe later they'll want to do something. So assuming the best of others, not the worst, like they're trying to be mean to me and excluding me from the play, but rather just thinking like kids don't have a lot of vocabulary to explain, or they don't realize that what it might feel like to somebody else if you say no. But if they took the time, and this is sometimes what I do in the social skills groups, is somebody will say no, and then they'll tell me they won't let me play. And then I ask, can you tell me more about what that means when you say no? And it's usually something very innocent. And they're just meaning like, well, no, but the next round you can play with us, or something like that. It's usually pretty simple and straightforward, but they don't know that they need to share a little bit more about the answer no. And so they they don't understand that others might misunderstand that as, well, they're not including me, but it's just that they don't know sometimes either what vocabulary to how to explain it either. So Teresa agrees, yeah, Seymour, I think you've got this. And then she tells him about this badge that she has that helps her remember to all these things about how to join others, how to invite others to join in with your play. And she says, would you like to have this to help you? And so, of course, he does. And she reads it to him and it says, pause, ask to join, invite to join, flip a coin. So, like, you're just going to have fun no matter what you do. Just have fun. But remember, like, you ask to join or you invite to join. You don't just join in. And then that's how it works out, that people think it's fun to play together. And then she's trying to give him a picture of his future self being successful. She puts that on the back of the badge to help him kind of keep that thought in mind and that picture of himself being successful, implementing these tools that she's given him for how to join in or how to invite someone else to join in your play. Another thing that's also wasn't really in the book, but it's also meant to be for the child who has more social, more ability to think of who else is around and who might be wanting a friend to play with. So it's also meant to be a way for that child who has those advanced skills to be able to think about how they might invite someone to join in with their play, because they understand maybe that person doesn't know how to join in, but would love to be invited to join in. And that person who has those more, is more skilled in doing that, more practiced in doing that, can share, like, this is what we're doing, this is how we're playing, these are the rules, so that it makes that more likely that the child who's just been invited will be successful in playing with the other kids in the game that they're doing. So this has been so successful for Seymour that when the teacher comes and says time for lunch, it's really hard for him because they're having a great time. He's learned to play collaboratively with them. They have a common goal. They're working cooperatively together. And he doesn't want to stop this. It feels good to him. But his teacher reminds him that he will have another chance to come and play in the sandbox, and his friends will still be here. And he's thinking a little bit about his thinking, like, oh, it's such a hard decision to just say, I'm going to do it because that's what the teacher says it's time to do, even though I don't want to. But I'm going to think, what could be a positive that I could take away from here and hold on to, so it doesn't feel quite so hard for me to stop. And he realizes, well, my friends are going to lunch. They're all waiting for me. They're all saying, come on, it's time to go. We all want to be together with you. You're our friend. Come join our group. That helps. But also he's thinking to himself, okay, I do have to stop this. I'm just going to do it, even though it's hard. And I'm going to think of something that makes it easier for me to do this. And that something that makes it easier for him to do it is knowing that when he'll still be with his friends, He's going to have lunch with them, and they could actually start talking about what they're going to do later when they go in the sandbox again together. So he feels like that's a win for him, that he makes it easier for him to stop and then go do that. And so his teacher is like, woohoo, Seymour, you're very flexible. You're learning to manage your emotions. You're learning to solve problems. You're learning so much. Your brain is really growing. And so he's picturing himself like, I did it. I did it. And he's imagining, I love this picture that the illustrator did with his brain growing. And it's great. I mean, when I say that to kids, they just beam. They're so excited to know that brain is growing. They really like that idea. So hopefully that story you can read to the child in your life and see the benefit of how that can impact them in their play skills. And so I encourage you to please to read that frequently to your child to help integrate it so that that becomes sort of a default and automatic reaction that they know to just do. And it becomes easier every single time that they practice that. So initially, of course, starting with a support of an adult, and then the adult gradually weaning, like maybe saying, okay, let's practice what you're going to do. Okay, now you're going to go do it. I'm going to be right there with you if you need any help. Make sure they have the language for it. Maybe it's also a fun idea to practice with stuffed animals, maybe at home, and or with if there's a sibling to practice it with. Those kinds of ways help build the skills also, so that when it's time to actually put it into practice, the child feels confident. And then that's a way that the child begins to interact and learn from other kids and grow in their skills and their confidence and their self-esteem. So hope you enjoyed all of this. And I have another one coming up still to talk about. And the next book is, there's 2 more books still that I haven't done videos on, so I'll be doing those right away as well. So thank you for being here.